Right, so I just want to give you a little update on where we're at with the van. You can probably see outside it's pretty miserable weather. It doesn't look too bad, but you can see the rain on the windows there. So I've got all the materials in the van at the minute. I've just been to collect the CLS for the bed, the timber, the lightweight batten timber that I'm going to build all the cabinets out. Looks quite small, but once it's all together it should be nice and strong. Making it out of roofing battens because they're cheap, they're lightweight, and they're actually quite strong. I've still got plywood, so this is going to be the plywood that I'm making the ceiling out of. So let's talk about the ceiling quickly. You can see it's fully insulated and it has sheets of plywood on the ceiling with the roof light cut out. Basically the plan with this is to cut strips of 9mm ply out and then put it on the ceiling, a bit like this as an example, obviously not as thick, and that'll clad the ceiling in strips and that'll have the lights built into it as well. So that'll be cut out. The ceiling's going to be painted black or dark grey, and then either keep the plywood as a wood finish because it's actually not too bad a ply, or that might just get painted white. Haven't decided that yet. I'll work that out once I've cut the strips. But the edges of each strip, they'll just be painted the same colour as the ceiling, which will be like a dark grey or black. You can see the walls look terrible at the minute, and that's because I've just got the original plywood on there. So we've done all the insulation behind there and then a vapor barrier. It looks terrible, but I'm basically reusing this because it makes a good skin for the van that I'd have probably done anyway. And then once I've built the cabinets and everything and framed in, I'm going to then basically clad over the top of that. I'm unsure whether I'm going to use the plywood that I'd originally bought for that or whether I'll reuse that for something else and I'll use cladding. I haven't decided yet, but basically I'm going to build the frames. This all looks a mess, but basically where these two boxes are, that's going to be the first of the worktops in there. So I'm going to frame those out. And then the flooring is arriving today. So once I've built all the frames, I'll just take those out. I'll put the flooring down and then I'll fix the frames in. Same with the worktop on this side, which is, you can't really see the line, but there's a line in there. So I'm going to frame that out. Again, not fix it in yet until the flooring's down. But at the weekend, we're due some dry weather. So what I'm going to do is build all the frames in here. I can cut them out in the outbuilding. Put them together in here loose, don't fix them into the floor. At the weekend I'll get the flooring in. I'll get the ceiling cladding on. I'll get the bed built and fixed. So that'll be fixed into the strut of the van there. Once that's done, I can then frame out that wider section with plywood. And then, like I say, I haven't decided whether I'm going to then clad these walls with timber cladding or ply line them. But that doesn't massively matter at the minute because I don't really have to decide that until further down the line. I've ordered some carpet for The doors, I'm going to reuse that piece of plywood because that's absolutely fine. I'm going to use that piece of plywood as a template because that got damaged, taking it out and it was a bit of a mess. Those top pieces of plywood, I think I've got them somewhere, but if not, I'll remake them. And then the rest of the door is going to be carpeted, and same with the rear quarter part there. This will all get plywood up to there, so there might just be a tiny bit of carpeting to do in around the seals. Then I'm going to, you'll notice that that piece of the ceiling's not being done in plywood. Basically it's because that's the width of a full sheet. So what I decided to do is I'm going to build out the overhead cabinets fit those so they'll be framed in, and then what I'll do is once they're in, I'll put some thin ply in and line that out as the cupboard, and then probably fill this gap with expanding foam just to extra insulate it anyway. So the cupboards are going to be this mark, so you won't actually see this part anyway, and then once that's lined it'll have a nice cupboard lining, and that doesn't really need to be plied anyway. So it's saved cutting into the third sheet that I bought for doing the ceiling. So yeah, that's where we're at the minute. Like I say, it's a bit miserable weather again, so not massive progress, but I'm gonna crack on, and then hopefully this weekend we should see some really good progress.